For the last few months, Manchester United have been playing every 3 days. And now we've got Fulham on Sunday, our last game before the international break. A genuine break from football. These players need it. And I'll tell you what, United have navigated this period very well. There have been speed bumps. We don't need to speak about those. But there have been so many positives. The Europa League, winning the Carabao Cup. The FA Cup is here on Sunday. It's a quarter-final against Fulham. Win this, we're in the semi-final. The last four. Ten Hag is on for a cup treble in his first season. We've got one in the bag. We're favourites in the Europa League and we are one of the favourites in the FA Cup. Fulham, it won't be an easy game. Paulinia's back. I'm going to run through my starting 11. And of course, how do we replace Casemiro? The short answer is you don't replace Casemiro. It is nigh on impossible, no matter how good your squad is. But I'm going to run through all the options in the team news. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Let's get into this one. Now, Ten Hag confirmed ahead of the game that Anthony Martial and Antony are both doubts. Antony missed that game against Real Betis. And of course, well, Anthony Martial's missed everything. Neither of them will probably be available. Maybe he might risk Antony, but yeah, I doubt he'll risk Martial. But another surprise that's come this morning is that Scott McTominay is a doubt. Ten Hag said, as you said, we just returned. We have to see the doctor. I have an idea to see the progress with some players about the last game. That's why we didn't bring in Scott McTominay. He had some complaints. We have to see how that will progress in the coming hours and days. Now, given that Casemiro's out, you'd probably be looking at Scott McTominay as being the man to replace him inside that starting 11. So what do you do if McTominay's not there as well? Let's run through the 11. Now, this was the team that started away at Real Betis. There were a couple of changes. Maguire came in for Varane. Malacia came in for Shaw. And Pellistri came in on the right wing and played very, very well. I imagine there will be changes again for this game on Sunday. And the first change will be to see Raphael Varane come back into the starting 11. Now, I've got to take this moment to say I think Maguire played well and deserves some praise for that performance away at Real Betis. Seemed more confident, more comfortable, the ball at his feet, doing those sorts of runs out of defence that you see so often for England and you used to see at United, but you just haven't seen for a long time from Maguire. But Varane is our starting right-sided centre-back, without a shadow of a doubt. And there's absolutely no reason why Maguire stays in this team. Varane comes in and slots in alongside, of course, Lisandro Martinez. Love the bloke. You know I love the bloke. Now, I also think that we'll see Malacia drop back to the bench with Luke Shaw coming in. But I wanted to take this opportunity to say, I haven't really said much about Malacia in a while. He had that burst after Brentford when he started 4 games, including Liverpool and Arsenal. We were like, man, we've got a gem here. I genuinely do feel still that we've got a gem. A player who clearly does exactly what his manager asks of him. The profile fits, the work rate fits, the tenacity and the attitude fits. I think Malacia is an excellent understudy to Luke Shaw. And there is definitely a drop-off between the two. Luke Shaw, one of the best ball progressors in this team. Certainly underrated, I think, in how good he is bringing the ball forward. But Malacia, I think he'll grow and grow and grow. The thing has been, we need to make more Malacia signings, right? We really, really do. So I think that's going to be the back five that plays against Fulham on the weekend. Wan-Bissaka will keep his spot at right back. I see no reason why Dalot would come back in. De Gea, hopefully he's not too busy. But look, De Gea and his passing out from the back, I've spoken about it so many times. It is an issue. But hopefully it won't be too much of an issue against Fulham. Although I imagine it might be, especially without Casemiro and to drop between the two centre-backs. Watch it. On Sunday, you're going to see United really struggle to play out through the back, through the middle, because we haven't got Casemiro and, of course, Eriksen there. But I tell you what, I've got to take a little second now to say how excited I am for Eriksen to come back. Erik Ten Hag confirmed that he's going to be back in April. He is about to come back. Ten Hag's words, not mine. And we need him and we miss him. The word control. That's what you lose when you don't have Christian Eriksen in your team. We become more of a transition team, moving quickly from back to front without Eriksen. With Eriksen in, we can slow it down. We can play it through the middle far more. And of course, he's got an incredible final ball and a final product. Can't wait to have him back. But moving on to the big question about this starting 11 is how do you replace Casemiro inside that midfield? How do you replace probably the best defensive midfielder in the world? And he's not just a defensive midfielder. Well, you're looking at 2 options inside this squad. And I think this is all going to depend on fitness because Erik Ten Hag has confirmed that McTominay is a bit of a doubt, which is a little bit of a surprise. And given that we're missing Casemiro for the next 4 games, the last thing we need is McTominay to be missing as well. But Sabitzer, this might well be his time to shine. So one thing we know that's going to happen is Casemiro is not starting. Now, let's run through the options that we've got. If Sabitzer is fit to start and McTominay isn't, I imagine you see that as the midfield. I imagine you see Fred there with Sabitzer. However, if McTominay is available, I imagine you would see this. And I think this would be Ten Hag's preference. Playing Sabitzer as the one who's slightly further ahead of McTominay, with McTominay kind of in charge of screening that area. Not really doing much else. I think that position suits Sabitzer a little bit more. I think that position suits McTominay. And I think as a partnership, there's more balance in Sabitzer and McTominay than there is in Sabitzer and Fred, or McTominay and Fred. And I don't want to see McTominay and Fred anymore. I've told you that individually, I think they can help United. Fred is a very good midfielder, especially in the opponent's final third. In and around that area, Fred is dangerous. However, Fred and McTominay together, they're not a midfield pivot that offers any sort of control. Yeah, it just doesn't work. So for me, if they are both fit, I would like to see Sabitzer start just ahead of Scott McTominay. But if McTominay is not available, I imagine you'll see Sabitzer sitting deeper with Fred just in front of him. Now, when it comes to Bruno, you notice I didn't mention him there. It's because I think there's going to be a little bit of a change. And this is just what my instinct is telling me. Facundo Pellistri had a fantastic night. It was a pretty impressive full debut for Manchester United from the start, impacting the game positively. However, I don't think that he's going to start 2 games in the space of 3 days, especially after, I think he completed 90 minutes. So in my opinion, I think we're going to see this. I think we're going to see Pellistri drop to the bench, and I think we're going to see Bruno go out wide. And I therefore think you're going to see Sancho coming in as that number 10. Now, Sancho has had, I would say, like an indifferent return. After the excitement of him actually being back at Manchester United, it's his performance is, indifferent. Hasn't played particularly bad. Hasn't really lit the stage up. My instinct is telling me that Erik ten Hag will not want Pellistri starting 2 games in 3 days. And I think in that sense, if Anthony's unavailable and he's decided that Pellistri's not going to start this game, then I'm looking at Bruno to go on that right wing and do that job that he does. Now, this might be spectacularly wrong. And I tell you what, looking at that as a midfield trio is shaky, very shaky. And I'll tell you one thing, Paulinho's back for Fulham. He was their best player easily at Craven Cottage. Obviously, we won that game thanks to Garnacho's late winner. But he's back after a 2-game domestic suspension. And he's going to really be a power force in that midfield. I'm looking at Sabitzer as trying to hopefully be the man to combat that. And maybe because of Paulinho, then maybe that's why he will play Bruno in the middle there. And maybe he will play Pellistri out in the wing. But this is just my predicted 11. This is just what my instinct is telling me. I'm not judging this of any sort of in-the-know knowledge. It's just my interpretation. You can let me know what you think in the comments. But in terms of Weghorst and Rashford, nothing changes. And Weghorst, man, I keep defending him. Look, he's nowhere near good enough from a finishing perspective. And so many people are saying, just drop him. Put Rashford in the middle. Play Sancho on the wing. It'll be better, X, Y, Z. You might not like to admit it, but from a team perspective, there's obviously a balance that Ten Hag likes. He prefers. He started every single game. Odds on, he's starting this game as well. It'll be more of a surprise, if anything, if Weghorst drops to the bench. And given what we've done in these last couple of months, I'd say it's a decision that's been vindicated by the results, even though we have had speed bumps. Now, if that's going to be the starting 11, my prediction for this game, I'm going into it confident because United at Old Trafford are a different specimen this year. We really, really are. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I was tempted with 3-1, but I'm going to go for a 2-1. I don't think it's going to be a game where we blow Fulham away. It's going to be a tough one. But we're at Old Trafford and we have to take that sort of confidence into it. And we've got a bit of a makeshift midfield. No matter who starts, it's going to be slightly makeshift without Casemiro and without Eriksen. Of course, both of them would start if they were fit. I think it'll be that with McTominay, Sabitzer and Sancho in the number 10 with Bruno out on the right wing. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. It might be spectacularly wrong, but hey, this is a predicted 11. My prediction for the game is 2-1. You can let me know. I'll be here on Sunday with my match reaction, so make sure you subscribe if you're new. But if United can win this, we can go into this international break having won the Europa League, having won the Carabao Cup, in the Europa League quarter-finals and in the FA Cup semi-finals. That would be an extremely good position, and Ten Hag will want that.